So entry 8 of the Orphan Hunt ended with Oluchi knocking Barbara out cold and handing her over to the Transfiguration Squad. And entry 9 now immediately began right after that with Oluchi on the this thing on the roof with the members of the for the Lesser Evil Revolution. And when she gets there, this one of them, an old woman, because they for the lesser evil, that's the lesser evils, that's among them the ones that are present in that's for this arc or in this department right now are an old woman, Mama Agatha, a man in a mech tank suit, that's a mech tank, a there is a mime, the girl name is Adana, then there is this thing, there is a little boy, his name is Diamond, and then there is a mere man that is with them, so there are five. Then you also have the Transfiguration Squad that is kind of their moles who are also part of them, but they are not technically part of them or part of the Federal Evil Revolution, but they want to help kidnap Barbara Occult to get the bounty, you understand? So they are in contact with them and helping them, that kind of thing. So this entry 9 began with this thing, the woman, Mama Agatha, the old woman, asking Oluchi whether she has the cream, that the ash. And later on, we'll find out that the ash is her big brother's ash. That's the hooded man in chapter 3. It's his ash, and that's because Oluchi has been getting a feeling that her brother isn't yet at peace or he hasn't yet moved on. So she wants to find out what she can do to make him move on. You get, and this woman, Mama Agatha, she's a necromancer, kind of like the occult, but obviously she's not as good as an occult, but she's a necromancer and a demonology, so she can kind of use the ash of this girl Oluchi's dead brother, the hooded man, to contact his soul so that Oluchi can communicate with him to find out what she can do, so we'll move on to the this term. So after they communicate, and I kind of add a little this thing, a little say his monologue or this thing where Oluchi talks about let her better get, because the Mama Agatha is like, even in this spell is going to take a lot of time, and even at that it might not work. So Oluchi is like, I sacrificed everything, I sneaked you guys in, I snuck you guys into this school and into this department, and I've also handed Babrakot over to your move, so you better not mess this up. You never better not, that you keep your own end of the deal, you get. And that kind of added just to like clarify it to the readers that okay, it was Oluchi who snuck these people into this thing, into the department and into the school. So after the whole conversation, the man in the mech tank suit, because I think he's the one who is the leader among these lesser evils that are available right now, will tell her to go and assist the this thing, to go and assist the Transfiguration Squad. So she will leave, and that's when the lesser evils will have a little talk amongst themselves, and that's, I just use that to introduce them, that's to the reader, since this is their first time, you get. And I think first they'll talk about I think how maybe Sadagras did not want them to try to undertake this plan because he didn't think he's going to work, despite being the one who formed the plan, you get. But it seems they are desperate for some reason to carry out the plan. Then at the same time, this woman, Mama Agatha, asks about this guy Dana, because as I say, I think I've said it before, I don't really know how to mix many characters in the same scene where different characters are talking, you get. So I always try to find a way to edit some of them out, so they'll kind of name drop this guy Adana, who is going to be the mime that will fight later on. She's protecting one of the talisman. We'll soon get to the talisman. She also, this person, the mech tank man, he's also going to name drop a girl, Messi, and say that I wonder why Messi didn't come, because, and that's because Messi was actually the first member of the lesser evils that's the first lesser evil that I introduced in this book, and I actually introduced her in chapter 9, you get. You know, when I started introducing the lesser evil, it was supposed to be chapter like end of book 1 and book 2, is when I last decided to create this arc, that this orphan hunt arc, that I decided to, okay, let me make some of the characters I'll introduce in book 2, and let me introduce them now, you get. And Messi, originally when I was planning this orphan hunt, she was one of the major characters I was supposed to introduce, that was supposed to be part of this arc, part of the one of the major lesser evils. But when I started writing it, I saw that kind of like the whole timing and okay, when this character is fighting and the matchups, like all the matchups were complete, and her giving her matchups with other this would have been unnecessary, or like she's not powerful enough to compete with some of them, you get. So I just decided to edit her out. Although when we introduce how you people understand why he was talking about her and about how this was would have been a prime opportunity for her to do what she wants, which is to test herself against magician. And that's because that girl Mercy, she's a born male. That she's her parents are magicians, but she wasn't born with the ability to use magic. You get. So it's kind of like my idea for her came from Ty Lee in Avatar, that kind of uses chi blocking against benders. You get. So she wants to be able to fight benders, even fight magicians, even though she doesn't have magic. So, but leaving out, we'll talk about Adana, then we'll talk about this thing. Then, when he's talking about it and about how his technology, the things he's inventing will be more useful to the lesser evils than this girl's ability, Mercy's ability. That's when Mama Agatha will get angry at him, that it's all about him. You know, that kind of selfish kind of character. That's, and it will now be like, okay, is it just because I allowed this boy Diamond to come with us? You get. And obviously that's why Mama Agatha is angry with him, because Diamond is a little boy, he's 13-year-old. And the thing about Diamond is that he's an obscurer. He was the first obscurer that Sadagras saved from the hooded men when he first escaped, before he now went to talk to the hooded man about obscurers and things like that. You get. Like, so but the boy is 30 years old, and you know obscurers are supposed to die around 11, 12, but the boy has lived to 13, which means he's close to death. So this kind of like, he says he's a boy, he wants to go out fighting, and that's why the man in the Mektan suit allowed him to come. And obviously Mama Agatha doesn't like that, because he's not she doesn't like the idea of using a little boy as a weapon, when he should kind of have people who to care for him and be with him in this moment where he's inevitably going to die, you understand. And I just have a scene where the boy hugs her, and that's because, you know, if you know the life of an Escuro, you know that he hasn't ever had love. So knowing that someone cares for him enough to say these things for him or to defend him makes him happy. So after the entire scene with this thing, with the lesser evils, the mech tank is going to jump down to Atrium 1, while the other lesser evils will remain there to guard one of the talisman. Then the entry cuts to this thing, to the Transfiguration Squad in the bathroom in the rear lobby, where they are conversing about their plan of how to leave through the back door, find the nearest Transfiguration booth, and teleports from the magical community. You get. And when the talk finish, they'll now step out of the bathroom into the rear lobby, and that's where they'll come face to face with the hooded men. And the hooded men in this act are going to be three. That's one of them. I introduce one of them in chapter 3. That's, I think in chapter 3 I introduced him as the Reaper, but now having a new idea, last I want to change him stylistically, instead of from like a Reaper character who is wearing like black hooded clothes and carrying it, I want to change it to like a priest. Later I'll say why I want to change it to a priest, but that's him. I introduced him to in chapter 3 as the like main boss that even the hooded men and all the other marksmen were answering to. Then I also introduced another lady that is kind of like, my idea for her came from Poison Ivy in DC, where like her body is made up of, or the clothes she's wearing is made up of vines and leaves and flowers, that kind of thing. Then the third one is a troll, and normally it was supposed to be like a dwarf was disfigured like this guy Hunchback of Notre Dame, and I think that's what I've posted right now. So if you read, and what you see is this short man who is hunched back and kind of disfigured, and he's very short. Yeah, but now the problem with it is that when I was kind of writing the fight with him, with the Transfiguration fighting him, I'm currently writing that fight, and I saw that my whole plan of the fight wasn't really, it felt like pointless, like it wasn't interesting, you get. And I saw that okay, the only way for me to make the fight interesting and still keep the reason why I made him disfigured, and still keep that reason, because it's going to be part of his backstory, is to make him a like this gigantic troll instead of a short distance, you get. Because the troll is, because you know the whole hooded man thing is that they are more powerful than almost everybody in this thing, in this battlefield of the Department of Dealing right now. So if he was short, that means he was going to be agile and was going to take out this thing, the transfiguration squad quickly. But I need them to kind of last till something happens. You understand? So making him like this throw that is kind of slow and almost dumb is kind of maybe even though he's far more powerful than them, it's kind of like because he's slow and sluggish, they can survive for a little while. That's why I decided to. That's part of why I decided to make him a throw. So when they meet them, that's when the leaper or the priest is going to tell the throw to kill them and kill Barbara Occult. Then this thing is going to tell that lady, the poison ivy lady, I think her name is Allah. It's Allah. He's going to tell her to, because this thing, the warlocks that ran out of the that came to call this thing Ebudera in the previous entry to before they ran out and they saw that okay there is actually a dome or a curtain around this department preventing everybody from going outside. They are now coming back and they're obviously coming to like face the hooded man. So he's going to tell her to take care of those warlocks while he goes to get to the obscurus. Then we will now cut back to the classroom where in the classroom this immediately after Ebudera left the class to go and he found out that okay there's a dome around this thing, a curtain around the department that isn't allowing anybody go out. This immediately after that all the class will round up on Blessing and kind of start questioning her that what's going on, why is this thing going on, why is the school under attack, how come the school is under attack. And that's when Blessing explained to them that okay someone placed a bounty on Barbara's head and the bounty had a time limit and the time limit was this evening. So and that's why since everybody is going to expire this evening, every bounty hunter and everybody who wants the bounty is storming the school to try and take the bounty, you understand. So they're wondering, the classmates, the classmates, and they'll kind of be like asking like, well it doesn't make sense. Well, this is like one of the major universities in the magical community, so there are many warlocks defending this school, there are many security there, and even the lecturers, both Department of Dealing lecturers and normal lecturers and SEMRA is in this school, and even people like Chancellor also, like very 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 powerful lecturers. And you get even if lecturers went around, people like the senior colleagues in Department of Dealing, like the people in final year and this thing, they are powerful enough to stop any invasion and to like apprehend everybody who is coming for this bounty. So why are people stupid enough to try and storm this school? Yes, and that's when they figure out that okay, it's because it's a distraction. And that's when Ibudera comes to the class and starts explaining that okay, it was actually a distraction so that the entire school, warlocks, lecturers, teachers, everybody, the attention will be on going to protect the school at the school borders while leaving the Department of Dealing this thing vulnerable for an attack, you get. And now that they have placed this dome, this curtain around it, this is where nobody from outside can come inside to save us and nobody from inside can go outside, you get. So that's kind of their plan, to draw everybody attention away. So they start explaining to them that what they need to do is that there are four to take down this barrier. That's they need to take down this barrier so that help can come and help them defeat both the hooded men and the lesser evils. But to take down the barrier, they need to destroy the mech tank suit. Remember I told you that, or if you read this in the earlier scene, the mech tank, he fell and he jumped down from the roof and landed in Atrium 1. When he landed in Atrium 1, basically since he has landed, he can't move there is also like a shield, a mini dome covering him where he can't move and nobody can come in. But you need to destroy that mech tank suit in order to take down the barrier around the entire department. And at the same time, to get to that mech tank suit, you need to destroy 3 talisman. One of the 3 talisman is in the bathroom that is in the entrance hall, which is going to be protected by that mine. The other talisman is on the roof, protected by Mama Agatha, the little obscure boy, and this thing, and what's his name, and the merman. Then there's another talisman that they don't know where it is. Yeah, and the way how Ibudera got his information is, I think I explained binding vows earlier, that there's always going to be like a trade-off. And since this kind of trade-off since they use the binding vow to create this barrier around the distance, around this and around the department, and this department isn't your own. You have no right to kind of like, it's kind of the same way you can't come to someone's house and tell the other the person around in his own house. So you can't come to someone's school and kind of like lock the person inside and say the person can't leave. There has to be a way for the person to leave, you get. And the ways is this talisman, and the person also has to know the ways he can leave, you understand. And that's kind of the binding power now lets Ebudera know the conditions he has to fulfill to leave, and that's destroying the talisman, destroying the Mexican suit, so that people can come, the barrier will fall down. So he tells everyone this and tells them that okay, they should stay put in class while he and Blessing, who are the only ones who are powerful enough to contend with the hooded men, that's letting and Blessing go out to go and try and destroy this talisman. And obviously the class, the cosmates, they want to, the students, they want to help, yeah, but they are all weak, so Ebudera cannot let them. And of all of them, the only person who is kind of decent is Chisom. Remember Chisom, that boy was bullying Margaret in chapter 4 when Barbara came and helped Margaret. That Barbara came and defended Margaret, and that's when they went outside and they now make that deal of Barbara will teach her magicking in order for her to bring for Barbara her parents' wedding, this thing, wedding photo. So is that boy. So him, at least him, his essence potency, which I've already explained what essence potency is in an earlier entry. His essence potency is level 3, which is high enough to at least compete. And apart from which is high enough for him to compete, why the but the rest, their essence potency is too low and they can't compete with these people. They can't compete with the lesser evils, talk less of the wounded men who are far more on a higher level. You get. But after convincing, he say okay, Chisom and Mesoma are going to help. Chisom, Mesoma, and one other girl, Rejoice, are going to help. But the thing about Rejoice is that I think it's Blessing that came up with this. Rejoice is a healer. So the thing is that when those of them who are going outside to try to destroy the talisman get injured, they'll come back to a class so that to the lecture hall so that Rejoice can heal them. And since Rejoice is a healer, once the lesser evils or who they may find out that these people have a healer, they obviously come to kill Rejoice, and it is the job of the rest of the classroom to protect Rejoice, that kind of thing. You know, so everybody will feel as if they are helping and contributing, which is what allowed them to okay, like allow them to agree. If not, they wouldn't have agreed. Chisom Ebudera stopping them from helping. So anyway, the plan is that Ibudera assigns Chisom and Mesoma to destroying the talisman on the roof. And that at first Mesoma is worried about that old lady, that's Mama Agatha on the roof, because now she's a sorceress, you get. And if she's a sorceress, then is you going to try to fight out to get the talisman for her is like an ant coming to get something from a human, you understand. It's not possible. But it is that right now Mama Agatha is chanting the necromantic incantation. That's that she's using that the ashes of this guy Oluchi's brothers, ashes of Oluchi's brother's body, to try to summon his soul, you understand. So she's chanting the spell, and she cannot stop chanting the spell until, if not, because if she stops before the spell is successful, all her progress will be lost. So she has to continue, which means at the moment she's kind of out of the equation. Which means the only problem you have on that roof is the little obscure boy and the mere men. So Chisom is now worried about the mere men, and Mesmer is kind of, why would you be worried about a mere man? It's kind of, you can't use magic on him, because if you use magic on him, you don't know what the Council of Magic will do to you. It is their whole statute of secrecy, this thing. You get, because despite the fact that the guy already, since he's with the lesser evil, he already obviously knows about magic, but sometimes the Council of Magic just don't use sense. So they will now, then this thing, Ebudera, he will now assign himself to go and get the talisman that is in the bathroom in the entrance hall, which is the one that is defended by the man. Then he will assign Blessing to finding the talisman, that the third talisman that they don't know that is hidden, that this thing that the binding power didn't let him know about. You get. So that's the attribution. So immediately after this conversation, we give all the wish each other good luck. Then Ebudera will run out of the class. After then, these people, Mesoma and this Mesoma and what's his name, and Chisom will follow him outside, because since the one is on the roof, they will kind of go to this same. Chisom is now going to give this girl a lift, like kind of throw her up. Then when he takes out his own direct essence to his leg and jump up. No kind of that way you are jumping on and immediately this girl that is superior there, her body hits his own body across the roof to the roof of lecture hall 2. And that's where they see that is that obscure boy is actually very powerful despite the fact that he's close to death and he's an obscure, you get. So Chisom is going to kind of jump into the air, spare him out, take him out of the equation, which means this girl Mesoma is left to take care of the what's his name, the merman, and get the talisman before this woman, the Mama Agatha, is done with her incantations. So she'll get on the roof, and since he's a merman, he can't really do anything. She can just enhance her strength with essence, and punch him. Even if he can't use magic, he can't really. But when she punches him and knocks him out cold, she now walk over her body to go and grab the talisman. But it's kind of, he will just spring back to life and grab her. You get kind of resilience, or maybe it's also magic protecting him. So that's how we now jump back to the classroom where Blessing is about to leave to go and find the talisman, and that's when this girl Margaret will stop. And that's because earlier during the whole conversation about where Ebudera was assigning who will go after which talisman, this girl Margaret was like, how about Barbara? Who will go after Barbara? Since everybody's talking about talisman, Ebudera is like, Barbara has been sealed inside the briefcase, and the only way to destroy this briefcase is to destroy the first 3 talisman. You understand? And that's why they have to go and get it. But Mesoma is still sorry, but Margaret is still worried because why? How about what if, like, while everybody is going after this talisman, the transfiguration squad run out of the department with Barbara, which means nobody can. Everything they are doing inside here will be useless. Yeah, because the transfiguration squad are the only ones who can go in and out of this barrier around the department at will. But this guy, Ebudera, is confident that they can't leave because the hooded men also want Barbara, so they won't let her, they won't let these people, the hooded man won't let the transfiguration squad leave with Barbara. But at the same time, for now, Barbara is safe from them because while she's in that briefcase cannot be opened without first destroying the talisman. You understand? So it's kind of, but still, Mesoma is worried, so she will like kind of convince Blessing to give her the mission of going to get the briefcase. So Blessing is going to give her that mission. Then both is why both of them are immediately stepping out of the classroom that Blessing will now see this girl Oluchi. And when she sees Oluchi, she'll get heated up and she'll go to attack her. And that's where this entry ends. And the next entry will begin with, I think the next entry will just be Blessing versus Oluchi. And if you notice earlier in this entry, there was a time where as they were talking, I think Margaret asks like, where is Barbara? And this guy Oluchi was like, sorry, Blessing was like, Barbara and followed Oluchi somewhere so she's safe. You get, so that's was what I was trying to show is that despite the fact that Blessing and Oluchi are enemies, they are sworn enemies, and they have been enemies and rivals since they were little, there's still this trust among them, you get. But now that it's kind of, that trust is kind of broken, that's Blessing is now going to be very angry, and that's why the moment she sees Oluchi is on site. I remember when Oluchi jumped down from the roof, was when she was going to go and like fight the hooded men to protect this boy. This boy is the transfiguration squad. And that's during this, while she's in the middle of her fight with one of the hooded men, that's that girl why I say this inspired by poison ivy, that she can control vines and things like that. While she's fighting her, that's when Blessing will see, and that's where this entry ends. So entry 2 will be Blessing versus this girl Oluchi. So God, guys, please like this video, comment, subscribe to this channel. If you haven't read Barbara Occult and the Breath of Life, so far there are 4 completed chapters out: the Orphan and the Sorceress, the Hall of Magic, Where to Find Them, and the Witch's Conundrum. The right now we're in this thing, the Orphan Hunt, and in the Orphan Hunt so far 9 entries has been out, and a new entry I used to drop a new entry on the website every single Friday. The website is tuba.com. You can visit it to read. So thank you guys.